Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Horror and Hooch. I am Kay Bly from the Fifth Wall. I'm here with Jay Astro from the Fifth Wall and Desiree from Temper Drinks. Tonight, we are here to discuss post-apocalyptic movies and introduce our featured drink. Desiree?
So tonight's featured drink is normally known as a Mexican mule. It goes by a couple of other names as well. Sometimes a Jalisco mule, a tequila mule, but it is a play on the traditional Moscow mule. What goes into this drink is ginger beer, which I'm using a Barrett's Bermuda Stone. Also, I'm using fresh lime juice. You can choose to use a Rose's lime if you prefer a sweetener version. And also, you gotta have your tequila. This is an El Charo. It's a anejo, 100% pure agave, but I'm not using this tonight. I have personal preference, and so I will be using Senor Patron for my tequila mule tonight. So,
Wonderful. So, let's jump right into it. Post-apocalyptic movies. What do we think of when we discuss those movies? I think of movies that are about, let's see, disease outbreaks, contagion, after Earth, creatures, mass destruction, things that would take place in like a dark part of the world. Like we're here, everything is normal, but here's the other part of Earth. And sometimes when we say post-apocalyptic, some of these movies start at the beginning of the apocalypse. Some of them take place after it. So you have to piece together what happened to where Earth and civilization got to this place. A good example of that will probably be I Am Legend.
yeah.
We start off seeing, Will Smith and his pet and everything. And then he kind of gives us flashes and glimpses of how he feels like he was the last man on earth. Other post-apocalyptic movies, such as like The Maze Runner, though that's another example of we see this world after things seem normal. And this is how life is now. But how did we get to that point? How did we get to where civilization has fallen? How did we get to the point? How did we get there that we have to rebuild again? How did we get to the point that there's disease? How do we get to the point that there's war and conflict and poverty? Resident Evil Extinction. Actually, that whole genre took us from
Yes.
beginning, everything was normal. Then they took us to the apocalypse. Then they took us to post-apocalyptic. Like that is a very good series of movies, video games as well that take us from the beginning to how we, get to this post-apocalyptic world. So that's what we're going to be discussing tonight. We're the movies, especially Bird Box, Cloverfield, and A Quiet Place. We thought those would give us three very different views of a post-apocalyptic world and very interesting movies that bring up a lot of conversation and a lot of thought and a lot of interesting points of survival, rebuilding life, and just how people interact at this point in time in this post-apocalyptic world. So before we get into that discussion, Desiree is going to get our drink together. So
I am going to get us a little tipsy tonight. So, I'm going to start. Most mules come in a copper mug, so here's my copper mug for the night. We'll get a little ice going in the mug. Not too much. And like I said, my personal favorite is Senor Patron, so we're going to do that. 2 ounces of your tequila of choice. Doesn't have to be specific. And this is a 2-ounce jigger, so I only got to drop one. I like fresh lime juice in mine. So for that, you only need a half a lime. That's going to give you about a half an ounce. This is just a citrus press. Makes it a little easier. I don't got to be squishing limes. All right. Once you get your lime juice in, you're going to top that off with your ginger beer. This is a Barrett's brand. There are several brands. I know some people are brand specific. My Caribbean people, y'all live and die by y'all branded ginger beer. This is what I could find today. So we're gonna top that off, and then I'm gonna give it a little stir. Because this is not one of those drinks you shake. And I'm gonna put just a little bit more ice on top of that. Because I didn't top it with ice, so I could stir it. We're gonna get a little garnish there. Lime wedge on the end, and that is your tequila mule, Jalisco mule, or Mexican mule. Take a little sip, make sure it's right. I think I'm gonna be okay to continue this show tonight.
You know,
but in the middle, if I slow down, y'all know why.
I hope I will. Yeah. Kind of got a nice little fizzy margarita feel, you know?
Yeah, I like it.
Mm-hmm. And it's like this, you know, little weird light, like little light green color. So it looks like some kind of looks like something that would cause an outbreak.
That lime juice gets you every time.
Mixes very well with that. Mexican mule, everybody. So our first discussion, Bird Box. Hit the internet with quite a wave, I would say. For
yes, it did.
Don't, you know, dabble into horror. Bird Box sparked everyone's attention. I'm not even sure why this was so much of a big thing. I watched it.
Was a big hype.
It was really, really hyped up. I watched it before I knew people were going to be hyped up about it, naturally, because I like horror, I like sci-fi, so I was going to watch it regardless. But it was kind of like tripping a lot of people out, because maybe it brought a lot of people into a genre that they normally wouldn't be a part of. I think that's what it did. That, you know, because they wanted to know what the hype was. So whether they were sci-fi fans or psychological thriller fans, they're like, what is this Bird Box movie that everybody is talking about? So no spoilers, but we about to talk about it.
How we gonna talk without the spoilers?
Okay.
If you didn't watch it, move, go home.
Well, sorry, if you don't want any spoilers, you gotta leave. Yeah, I guess we are gonna have to throw out some spoilers. I didn't want to spoil it because it is one of those movies where you gotta see to really get it, but I guess we can't really tiptoe around it without actually diving right into to pick it apart. So there was your warning right there. We're kind of to dissect it, we kind of got to give it away a little bit. So sorry if you've not seen it, if you're not a part of it, this might ruin it for you. If you still like horror and psychological thrillers, you'll still want to watch it anyway. But basically, it kind of took us at the top before everything went downhill, and then like afterwards in the post-apocalyptic world. Basically, just randomly everyday life like we all have, and then all of a sudden there's just this something that's happening. They don't know if it's in the air. They don't know if it's like viral. They don't know if it's radioactive. But there's something that's going around that's making people commit suicide. It reminded me of the movie The Happening. If you've seen
The Happening
with Mark Wahlberg, Remember how they kind of like this weird thing was happening and they kind of might have thought it might have come from the plants or if it was neurological, that people would just all of a sudden do something to commit suicide and they didn't know what was going on. That happened in Bird Box. And then they kind of started piecing together like it might be witnessing some sort of violence or trauma happening that sparked it in you. Like, for example, there was this, and I'm gonna show you how it ties into it. There was this episode of Law and Order. They were trying to prove this little boy innocent because he saw his mom getting murdered by getting shot. And after that, he went and found a gun, killed the guy who killed his mom. The lawyer got him off of that by saying witness violence is like triggering a disease of violence. Once you see it, it makes you want to do it more. So in Bird Box, it's like what you saw somebody else committing violence, killing themselves, you got it. And then you're the next victim of whatever you just saw.
And but I also think it was more to it.
And that's like that. You see, that's how, you know, one of those things where people get there. That was kind of like my take on it. Like once you witness this violence, it triggers something in you to where you want to, you know, you want to hurt yourself like everybody else. But then you're right. And it could have been because at one point in the movie, they were like, you know, look at it. And it's like, look at what am I looking at? What am I seeing? And so are we seeing violence or are we seeing something else? Like, is it something that they see that everybody else can't see? And once you see it, you just, I don't know what makes you want to kill yourself. But it doesn't.
I honestly think what it was is you could see something if you look, because it would show like the wind and everything, like there was like a being there, but you just couldn't see it unless you actually looked at it. And like what I got from the movie is, you know how you had those individuals that could look at it and continue out and function? They've been living with demons. They've been living with demons, so they're able to go on and function throughout their life. Then you have those other individuals who are not exposed to that type of sin or those type of beings, and once they see it, it's over with. They ready to kill themselves. You know how I look at it is everybody has a different type of pit. You know how they say, oh, I done hit rock bottom. Everybody rock bottom is different. So if I can look at the demon and I done been to the bottom of the pits, oh, well, I can walk out here and function. But if I'm not used to seeing that type of stuff, then, oh, yeah, it's going to take over me. I'm weak. I'm naive.
And I think also, like, one thing that I know everybody I've talked to, nobody has mentioned, and I think it's because he was comic relief in this movie, but Rev, when he was talking about his book, he mentioned something to that effect of there are demons that are bigger than us that were here before the world ever started. And he believed that that was what was taking us out. He said, we made them unhappy. We did something and now they're coming for us. And I think everybody overlooked that in the movie because everybody kept going, oh, they never explained it. But I think he did explain it. That was it. Some demon, some being, something was coming for us.
A good point. And that was that's why it's like you have that's the good thing about psychological thrillers is that everybody kind of sees it from their own perspective and how it affects like what you see and how you interpret the situation. So their method of survival in Bird Box was just cover your eyes. If you can't see what this thing is, whether it's the acts of the violence itself or whatever evil or demon or monster or darkness that was floating around, as long as you can't see it, you aren't affected by it. The Bird Box was interesting because the bird would let you know if that thing was around. Just like, you know, animals know things. It's always good to keep a pet around. They can sense things in nature that we can't. So birds were their go-to. Birds knew when this thing in the environment was around. So that was like their alert system by carrying those little birds around. So that was how that was their survival. Let's keep these birds around. Let's keep our eyes covered. And it kind of took us through, nothing really got fixed. They didn't find a cure for it, a cause. They just had to kind of continue on life with this thing around and just kind of work their way around it. So they have to survive knowing that there's some things that they just can't witness and they can't see. And then there's these other people that can walk around and see just fine, but if they run into you, they're going to try and get you to see it in any way possible, so you end up killing yourself. You know what was interesting to me is that why would they want to do that? Why would they, just because they can survive in it, what makes them, who, you know, it's like, who is their leader or their follower to say that make everybody else who can't go about their life seeing it, still living, make the rest of them see it so they kill themselves too? Like, why would they want other people to hurt themselves?
I mean, like Desiree said, it was explained in the beginning with Rail, how that demon just felt as though it needed to wreak havoc on human beings. Like, it's time to go ahead and have a whole new order. So that's what I get from it. Like, either you with it or you're not. And if you can't handle it, I'm gonna go ahead and eliminate you. That's why, you know, you had those individuals that were functioning. Also, they did show us what the beings look like. And that's what I found interesting, that a lot of people overlook the fact of the guy that came in. I cannot remember his name, but the girl let him in the house, and he was like, quote unquote, some type of survivor. And he was explaining how the people that were from the psych ward were opening people's eyes and making them see and forcing them. And he was actually part of that crew. He started drawing out what the demons look like.
He did. I'm sorry. And if I had been in that house, Buddy wasn't gonna get in the door with me. He wasn't. Okay. That story was too elaborate. He had too much going on. Your accent was from where you hear how. I don't understand where the rest of y'all at. Like, that was too unbelievable. I was so mad at that girl for letting him in the house.
It was. At that point, somebody has to have a philosophy of, I call it a Rick philosophy. Walking Dead Rick philosophy. You're not coming through unless you can verify these three things. Like Rick had the three questions you had to answer. You got to answer these three questions. And then after you answer them, then we gonna figure out if we gonna let you in. But you're just not gonna get a pass. They didn't even pat him down. Like, why would you not pat Buddy down, open his suitcase, what you got on you? No, they do none of that.
No.
Just not Eve.
The only one that was on his P's and Q's was Buddy with the that was always upset and mad about everything.
Yeah, but he was the realist. He didn't go off emotion.
He was a survivor.
Yes, and he was trying to explain that to them. Like, that's another thing, that when it comes to that time, when we're in that part of the world, in that era, it is about surviving. As much as we want to keep, like, you know, I gotta say it, being goody two shoes, that's not gonna happen. When it gets to the nitty gritty, you're gonna have to show some real, you know, instincts of being a survivor. And I feel as though he had already had that wisdom, and he was trying to share that with them, and they was just being ignorant. Another thing that I thought that was ignorant in the beginning is when they showed that this stuff was going on in different countries. And just because you're in the United States, you feel as though it can't come over here. Are you serious?
Anyway.
In the movie,
we're not
exactly. They showed that on the movie The Happening, that this was happening in other parts of the world. Americans are always the last ones to be like, oh, they got this going on? Okay, let me go grocery shopping. You know, like, not thinking that it can come over here. Now, if it's affecting this country, and then we just sit back chilling, so y'all don't think it's gonna happen over here?
Right.
It's like, come on, you got people on flights coming from that country, coming back home over here. That stuff gonna spread like wildfire. Y'all, come on now. So ignorant. I mean, it make you want to start prepping for doomsday for real. Like, let me go ahead and get my cellar ready. I'll holler at y'all, let y'all know the passcode.
Speaking of being ready for a doomsday, the Cloverfield movies.
Yes.
Another set that took you from, you know, the breakdown and deconstruction of society into the afterworld of that. And they do it in a very interesting way that I thought was very funny and yet really creepy. So tell the people about Cloverfield.
Okay, so really the movie I'm going to focus on is actually 10 Cloverfield Lane, which is the branch off from the first Cloverfield. So like it's showing you what is going on after the aliens have actually landed and been there for a while. And 10 Cloverfield Lane, it is this man that is basically a predator. He scopes out this girl at a restaurant. He finds the fact he's very interested and infatuated with this girl. So he plots, causes her car to like break down, so he has to go help her. He comes to her rescue, takes her to his doomsday cellar, takes care of her, and keeps her captive. The entire time she's thinking that what he's telling her is a lie. He's letting her know, hey, these aliens are here, these beings are outside, I'm trying to protect you, you don't need to go out there. But at the end of the day, you can still tell there's something was wrong with him. He was very possessive. He wanted her to do things at a certain time in a certain way. She even was finding like little clues that she was not the only girl. Like he had a infatuation with a girl in his past that he would find other girls that looked similar to her, and he would keep them captive and do things to them and get rid of them. So the twist to the whole movie is the fact that she's dealing with two different types of monsters. You have a human monster who is trying to protect you and do what he wants to do with you at the same time. And then when she goes out into the real world, she really sees there's aliens out there, you know? And I don't know if it was radiation or not, but there wasn't that many humans left. So I feel as though either the aliens knocked them out or they, you know, what was you guys like idea on what happened to the rest of society?
I would have liked for the weird guy to break it down. You know, there's always, and we talk about these people in our societies and neighborhoods. They call them what are survivalists? I think they call them
doomsday preppers.
They're stockpiling food. They're stockpiling non-perishable items. They're stockpiling
weapons.
And ammo. You know, they're always talking about the end of the world. They're building underground bunkers, and then like nobody believes them. They're the ones sitting back chilling when we're scrambling around.
Okay, he being an ant.
Yeah, I would have liked for him to let, you know, the people that were stuck in that bunker with him know, like, instead of just telling him like this is what's going on outside, he didn't really tell them like this is how it happens specifically. He's just like, don't you go outside. There's creatures out there and you can't breathe the air. If you breathe the air, you're contaminated. If you even get past the contamination, something's going to happen to you. There, you know, we're not alone anymore. But how? I guess you kind of see a little bit of that in the Cloverfield movie where everybody is scrambling around and, you know, seeking shelter because there's something, it's like, what is out there and what happened? But I guess we didn't, even in Cloverfield, we didn't get why. Why are they here? What are they? Are they monsters? Are they trying to do an invasion? Or are they, you know, lab creatures taking over? We don't know. All we know is that there's some kind of creatures out there and that there's radiation in the air.
Right. I think the last Cloverfield I watched, Lord forgive me, I don't know which one it was, but it was the one where they were out on the space station. Paradox. And they were going back and forth, paradox, back and forth between the Earth and the space station. And I think that was kind of the prequel to kind of what we saw at Cloverfield when you kind of play it all out together. And so I'm wholeheartedly thinking it was an invasion, but again, we never get the why. We never know the why. I kind of believe in most of the movies, they feel like at the end of the day, the human race, we're inferior to whatever else is out there. Whatever planet they come from, we're always the inferior being, and they always trying to get rid of us because we simple or we just not living up to their standards, or this planet may be the better option and we disregarding it and not taking care of it. It always plays out like that in movies. And like Kim was saying earlier, about why are we having these scenarios happen where we end up at the end of the days and end up at the end of the world. In all these movies, it's always us playing a role in it. Like either we've done something, we triggered something, or we did some experiment, we done unleashed something, we're always bringing about our own end in these movies, and I think that's what is the killer for us, because you think about it and you're like, dang, we stay trying to create some stuff. Like, I was looking at an article the other day about creating dinosaurs in the lab. For what?
Why?
Y'all saw Jurassic Park? Like, what we doing now?
Why?
So it's
Just
stuff
like
like that that plays into these movies.
And The Matrix, that was us. We did it.
Right.
It's artificial intelligence because we wanted to be lazy and let robots do everything for us. We did it. And then when they got too powerful, then we got upset. And then they got more upset and ended up taking over. Like, we did it, though. We created the monster, and then they eventually overtook us. But who started it? Us.
Every time. And with the alien invasion thing, that puts me in the mind of A Quiet Place, which was the other movie we were talking about.
Another tale that we have yet to figure out. How did we get there?
How did we get there? Before I get deep into A Quiet Place, I am doing a watch party right now. So shout out to all the people following on my watch party. I just got a suggestion from one of our followers. Ladies, have we seen Extinction?
Yes.
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 I might need to
very
go look at it. When did it come out?
Post-apocalyptic movie. Shout out to that person. That movie kind of threw me for a loop watching it because it had a plot twist, because it made you think that this they gave this movie to us from the perspective of the person who might have been the enemy in the beginning. So we don't know. We're thinking that aliens, here we go, spoilers, if you haven't seen Extinction, you know.
Okay,
I was about to say, you about to spoil it for me. I ain't seen it yet.
Well, cover your ears.
Right. So don't tell me what happened.
Yes, we're sitting here thinking that aliens are invading the earth, and we're like so super scared, and we're following this family because this guy, he keeps having like deja vu and flashbacks, and he doesn't know what's going on with him. He's just like, why do he feel like he keep having these like nightmares? And then the nightmares come true. So it's like he dreamed that aliens were going to come back and invade and destroy the planet. And then one day it's like it's happening. And we're following him as he's trying to save his friends and his family and everyone. And then it gets to the point where he's injured. And once he gets injured, we figure out he's not human.
Oh, Lord. Okay, stop. Don't give me the race.
Oh, yeah, I did watch that.
Y'all go watch that.
Oh, I did watch it, ladies, because he is a...
That one's on Netflix, too.
I gotta go watch that, so I haven't seen that. Thank you for the suggestions. But A Quiet Place. So, A Quiet Place. First of all, Tequila Mule hidden. Excuse me.
Okay.
But
I'm about to fix me another one, so...
A Quiet Place. Number one, I love M. Night Shyamalan. Let me not lie to y'all.
Really? You know, a lot of people are like, they don't be feeling his movies.
Now, he be killing me sometimes. I'm not gonna lie. It's been a couple of movies that I was like, what? But he's done some great stuff over the years that I feel like he get that pass in life now. To just be like, I'm gonna do whatever I want to do because I'm M. Night Shyamalan. I got a code name that y'all don't know nothing about. So I love M. Night Shyamalan. I did not know what to expect on this one because the trailers had you thinking it's like horror, folks gonna die, they jumping out, killing folks left and right. And when I got to watch it, I was like, oh, number one, I was annoyed. It was so much silence in this movie.
I think a lot of people were.
I don't know what I thought. It's A Quiet Place, but it was so much silence in this movie. And the thing that annoys me about post-apocalyptic movies stood out most in this movie are the children. The children in this movie were problematic. They had all the issues. So basically the movie is this. They're living in a time, something has come to invade. We don't know where the creatures came from. It shows some news clippings where they've come from all over the world. They've invaded and they can hear you, and they can't see, but anytime they hear you, they come for you. And so once they got you, that's it. You dinner. So they're having to live in almost a silent world. The people have learned to communicate via sign language. And so in the beginning of the movie, you think they're signing just because they have to. Later on, you find out one of the children has a hearing aid. She really can't hear that well. So signing benefits her. But throughout the movie, the mother is pregnant. So the whole time I'm thinking, how y'all gonna keep a baby quiet?
Shoot, how they gonna keep her quiet when she have labor?
Right. And so the kids are always problematic in today's movies. So the kids, first time somebody got, the little boy had a toy. Toy made too much noise. Daddy took it away from him in the first place. They snuck and got it anyway. Toy goes off. You got. Now y'all devastated. It was the kids' fault. Second time, they at the house. Something happens. And it draws the beings to the house. Which I think they have been surviving for the most part because the beings hadn't come to the house. When they go out to hunt, they hunt at a waterfall, which keeps the noise down because the beings can't hear them over the waterfall, so they can talk and communicate there. But once they drew them into the house, it was hard to get them away. At the same time, mom goes into labor. I was annoyed. Realistically, you can't have no baby quietly. I've had a baby. You can't have no baby quietly. So that irritated me. But she did her best. And at the same time, nobody was there at the house with her. But they had this set up. They had their doomsday set up for when the baby came. So they were keeping the baby in this little box to muffle him for when he cried. And this movie was irritating, y'all. I can't say nothing else about it. It was irritating because it's so unrealistic. You can't keep a baby in a box under the floor. You can't.
Oh no. See, I've never seen this movie before. I need to go watch it now.
Oh, my bad. So yeah. And like I said, I love M. Night Shyamalan. My mom, shout out, Signs is her favorite movie. But the whole movie was probably